Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS, and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you thought the Commanders' offseason was just about draft picks and free agency, hold on because things might be about to get even more exciting. Rumors are swirling around one of the biggest game changers in the league right now. Nick Bosa, the dominant edge rusher from the San Francisco 49ers, could be on his way to Washington. Yes, you heard that right. The buzz comes from reputable sources like Diana Rossini, and if these reports are true, it could be a game changer not just for the Commanders, but for the entire NFC East. Let's break down why this is such a huge deal. Nick Bosa, at just 28 years old, has established himself as one of the premier pass rushers in the league. Since entering the NFL in 2019, he's accumulated an impressive 65 sacks and 90 tackles for loss, making him a nightmare for quarterbacks and a nightmare for offensive lines. Last season alone, Bosa recorded 11 sacks, 16 tackles for loss, and 3 forced fumbles, all while posting a PFF grade of 91.8, which puts him in the top tier among edge rushers. His win rate of 27% and EPA per pressure of plus 0.44 only reinforce how disruptive he is when he's on the field. What makes Bosa even more appealing is his consistency. Over his career, he averages about 2 pressures per game and has a yards after contact allowed of around 3. 2 yards, showcasing how effective he is at finishing plays. Even with minor injuries, like his ankle injury in 2025 that caused him to miss 2 games, Bosa remains a force. His 85 pressures and a double-team rate of 32% in 2025 show he's still at the top of his game. And let's not forget, he's a former Defensive Player of the Year from 2022, which speaks volumes about his ability to take over games. Now, why would the 49ers even consider trading Bosa? Well, the team is currently in a bit of a cap crunch, with over $12 million in cap space committed for 2026. Plus, after a bit of a rebuilding phase, especially with quarterback Brock Purdy struggling with 15 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, the Niners might be looking to pivot, especially if they want to rebuild their roster around young quarterbacks in the draft. The team also needs to free up some cap space to bolster their offensive line, which has been a concern, and trading Bosa could be part of that plan. Reports suggest they might be willing to part ways with him in exchange for a second-round pick in 2026 and a third-rounder, saving around $30 million on their salary cap to fix the O-line and address other needs. For Washington, this is a golden opportunity. With a cap space of roughly $55 million, and the possibility of making some cuts to clear room, they could bring in Bosa without too much trouble. The team has been looking to bolster its pass rush, especially after a disappointing 2023 season where pressures and sacks fell below expectations. Adding Bosa would immediately elevate the front seven, pairing him with established players like Chase Young, who, despite recent injury setbacks, remains one of the top pass rushers when healthy, and other emerging talents. Imagine the impact Bosa would have lining up alongside Montez Sweat and Chase Young, creating a fearsome pass rush that could rival some of the best in the league. His presence would free up the other pass rushers, forcing offensive lines to double-team him, which in turn opens up opportunities for others to get to the quarterback. The potential upgrade could push the Commanders' sack total from around 32, which ranked 20th in the league last year, to over 45, making them a true threat on third down and in critical moments. This kind of boost could be the key to turning around a defense that, in recent years, has struggled with consistency, but has shown flashes of dominance. Furthermore, Bosa's presence could transform the team's overall defensive identity. In 2019, the Patriots' defensive line, similar in style to what the Commanders are aiming for, was a disruptive force that contributed heavily to their Super Bowl run. Adding a player like Bosa would help replicate that kind of disruptive impact, generating more turnovers and putting opposing offenses under constant pressure. Last season, the Commanders forced an average of 1.2 more turnovers per game, but with Bosa's relentless pressure, that number could jump even higher, creating more short fields and scoring opportunities. Looking at the bigger picture, acquiring Bosa could be a strategic move to make a serious playoff push. The odds of winning a Super Bowl with a dominant pass rush are well documented, and Bosa's track record in high-stakes games, especially in the playoffs, where he's recorded 5 sacks in his postseason career, makes him a weapon that elevates the entire team. His ability to rush the passer against mobile quarterbacks, like those who are becoming more prevalent in the league, could be a deciding factor in close games. Now, some fans might wonder about the risks involved. It's true that trading for a player like Bosa involves giving up valuable draft capital, and there's always the injury risk with such a physically demanding position. But considering his consistency, high production, and leadership qualities, the potential reward far outweighs the risk. Plus, the Commanders' defensive coaching staff has a proven track record of maximizing talent and scheme fit, so integrating Bosa into their defensive scheme could unlock even more of his potential. From a strategic standpoint, it's also worth noting that losing Bosa would hurt the 49ers significantly, especially since their pass rush would take a hit, potentially dropping from a top-tier unit to more of a mid-tier one. This could give the Commanders a crucial edge when facing division rivals and other playoff contenders. For the 49ers, it might be a tough pill to swallow, but if the trade lands, it could be a win-win situation. San Francisco gets draft capital to rebuild some areas, and Washington gets an elite pass rusher who could be the cornerstone of their defense for years to come. As for how this impacts Washington's current roster, it's a game changer. Adding Bosa would mean the team could finally have the kind of front seven that consistently pressures the quarterback and disrupts offensive rhythm. It would also send a strong message to the rest of the league that the Commanders are serious about contending, especially in a division that's becoming increasingly competitive. The Eagles and Cowboys have formidable offenses, and having a player like Bosa on your side would be a significant advantage in those matchups. Looking forward, the plan would likely involve some smart cap management, possibly restructuring contracts, or making a few strategic cuts to create room for Bosa's salary, which is estimated to be around $25 million annually. The team could also negotiate a contract extension that spreads out the cap hit over several years, ensuring they remain flexible in the coming drafts and free agency periods. The key is to lock him in long-term if the trade goes through, creating stability and leadership on the defensive front. In terms of the team's overall outlook, acquiring Bosa could be the spark that ignites a true defensive renaissance reminiscent of the glory days of the 2019 Patriots or even the 1991 Redskins, who set the standard for dominant defense in their quest for Super Bowl glory. The Commanders' defense has shown flashes of that potential in recent seasons, but what's been missing is that extra piece, someone who can consistently wreak havoc on opposing quarterbacks. Bosa could be that piece, transforming the front seven into a true nightmare for offenses. The Super Bowl odds would surely skyrocket with such an addition. Betting companies like BetMGM have already adjusted their odds from +15, 0 to +6, 0 for the Commanders to win the Super Bowl in 2025. That's a massive shift, and it reflects how a player of Bosa's caliber can change the narrative almost overnight. With him leading the pass rush, the Commanders' chances in the playoffs would improve dramatically, especially considering his record of 5 sacks in playoff games. He's proven to be a clutch performer when it counts most, and adding him would give the team a real weapon against mobile quarterbacks and high-powered offenses. So, in summary, this potential trade for Nick Bosa isn't just about acquiring another star. It's about transforming the entire identity of the Washington Commanders' defense. It's about pushing the team from a decent unit into a fearsome, disruptive force that can dominate games and elevate the entire franchise. For fans, it's the kind of move that could reignite hopes of a deep playoff run, maybe even a Super Bowl appearance that echoes the glory days of the early 80s or the 91 Redskins. And it's not just about the immediate season. It's about setting a tone for the future, building a defense that can carry the team for years to come. With Bosa in the fold, the Commanders could finally have the front that opponents dread, a true game wrecker who demands double teams and creates chaos from the get-go. It's the kind of move that could make the entire NFC East shake in their boots, especially as the Commanders look to reclaim their place among the league's elite. Pause here, just for a second. If you want the YOUTUBE algorithm to keep recommending, the latest Washington Commanders news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Of course, all of this hinges on whether the trade actually happens, but if it does, it's going to be one of the most talked about moves of the NFL offseason. The combination of Bosa's talent, the Commanders' needs, and the strategic fit is almost too good to be true. Fans should get ready for a potential defensive transformation that could turn the tide in the NFC East and beyond. Whether this move materializes or not, it's clear that the Commanders are positioning themselves to be serious contenders, and the addition of a player like Bosa would be the kind of statement move that signals their intentions loud and clear. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Washington Commanders. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Washington Commanders news.